Hello, everyone. It's John here, and I came across this tweet from TG that I think we need to analyze. And if you're a founder, you're building something, I believe this is something this is a video you have to watch because if we really understand what PG was trying to say in these tweets, it will help us build a lot more successful protocols and SaaS business around. And kind of here is its arguments. It's kind of saying that it's a mistake for startups to treat fundraisers as a series of milestones, right? And it was pointing to something more important, more like you being sufficient enough such that you won't ever need to fundraise. You get the point? So it was saying more impressive than raising a series whatsoever to be making so much you don't need to. More like when you have the money, you wouldn't bother to maybe ask investors or angels to draw checks for you before you can move things. And let's have an example of it. Say you want to raise 4 million seed round. You want to raise 4 million seed round and you already make, say, 300k MRR. If you can, with this 300k MRR, that multiplied by 12, it's already going higher. That means in a year, you make definitely over a million. And if you can double down on this 300k MRR and maybe blow it up to like 500k MRR, you are going so well with your startup and you are being profitable. You are kind of making progress. And that brings me to the argument of more like bootstrapping. But now, bootstrapping has changed from what we kind of knew it to be. It's before you kind of think of bootstrapping as you maybe funding it by yourself and or everything. But now it's more of initially you funding the business yourself or the startup or the protocol yourself. Then as it moves on, you kind of take the money from the protocol or the business and pump it right into it, and everything is still sufficient. And this way, you are having successful startup. You are financially buoyant or sufficient, and with that, the pressure. It's more like reducing the pressure of needing money. Once you have money, you won't have the pressure to raise money, and that's it. Because here is how it works, right? When you raise, you are answerable to investors. You have to send investor updates monthly. I prefer monthly ones anyway. You have to carry everybody along because it's more like the entrusted. Now, I use that entrusted in quotes. If you read law, you know it's not actually a trust. So, but like on a general balance, let's use this loosely. It's more like the investors entrusted that's you. And with that, but now you're kind of running your startup, you're running your protocol without the maybe the idea that you are answerable to people, and you just know you have to make this work because everything you have is at stake, and that's the balance that I think I prefer as a builder. It's more like reducing that pressure to raise money. And when you come to think of it, see it this way: if your protocol is making enough money, why do you have to raise? And I kind of spoke with a couple of my friends who believe so much in venture funding and everything. The argument they always give is, what's it called? You need big money to move big things. And well, in a way, it's kind of understandable when you think about this. It's kind of understandable when they say you need big money to move big things. But like at the same time, no matter how big anything is, there is a way you can break it down to do it per milestone and to always do the miniature version of it. And when you have this mindset, you get to realize that perhaps you really don't need venture funding as much as you think you do, or perhaps you are placing much more importance on venture funding than it actually is. And that is why I love the tweet so much. It's more like a recollection or a kind of a retracing of step to how everything starts, how building startup starts, and that is doing things that people want. And how do you know people want anything when they pay for it? When they swipe the card for it, you know they really want it. That that's still the same thing that exists till today. And if you've kind of noticed, you'll see that this startup will say, okay, they raised 4 million series A or 4 million seed round, depending on the valuation. And at the end of the day, when you get to read their balance sheet, you feel like, okay, this math is definitely not mathing because it shouldn't be this way. And that is why I believe if you're following me on Twitter for a long time, you should have known that by now. I believe so much in what's it called, bootstrapping. And the reason is once you can actually manage bootstrapping money very well, you can handle venture funds very well. So it's more like a shift in focus. If you are also a founder, you one thing I would say is if you have to raise venture funds, raise it. For Casuals, my startup, I'm currently speaking with a couple of investors. So you won't be like, oh, John, you preached this on your YouTube. Now you're doing this. No, that's not the case. I'm currently raising some venture with a couple of venture capitalists. But like, I know what I'm doing. Initially in the startup, I put in all my money. And what I'm doing now, it's kind of close to bootstrapping, doing the MVP myself, the early users myself. And then once I can do that very well, I know that if I probably have access to larger funds from venture capitalists, I can use it well. And the goal, this is the main thing I'm saying. The goal of everything is revenue. It's not how much you raise from investors. It's not how much you get from angels. It's how much you have as your revenue. I got to know something lately. It's how some founders posits that the funds wired to them by investors are purportedly kind of used to mean revenue. No, that's fraud. There is no way to kind of say that in a good way. It's a flat fraud. It's a flat fraud. The main thing to make your startup move forward and to have a profitable business or protocol is to have revenue. It's good when you know how to fundraise. In fact, it's a skill you have to learn as a founder. But more than that, or larger than that, you have to focus on revenue. You have to make revenue. You have to think of ways to add more customers, how to sustain existing customers, how to capture new customers, how to tap into new territories. And when you do all this, your revenue will be increasing. And when your revenue is increasing, that is your actual joy as a founder. Trust me, I've built a couple of online businesses, currently also building a protocol. I can tell you that no investor wire is as delightful as revenue. And if you are a founder here, you're watching me today, I'm just telling you, focus more on revenue. Raise venture funds, that's fine, but focus more on revenue and just have some fun while you're at it. Don't kind of make it a milestone to say you want to, after proceed, you raise C, you raise Series A, you raise Series B. Well, that is new startup politics. And you as a builder, what you have to focus on is building things that people love and having fun while at it. I hope you kind of enjoyed this video. And if you have maybe any contribution or contrary idea, do also put it in the comments. And thank you for watching.